Approaching the drop zone.
Locked and loaded. Good to go.
Lighting him up.
Inbound airdrop detected.
You know me. I don't like anyone.
Further collapse expected. Evac to safe zone.
Pre-order and get access to the Blackout beta.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Treyarch. I'm John Raffis, and today we're coming to you live from Santa Monica to talk to you about Blackout. This week we began rolling out more information about the Blackout mode. You actually were able to see it in the October cover of Game Informer, which you can check out and get more details about at GameInformer.com or at your local GameStop. And we rolled out our exclusive world premiere trailer of Blackout yesterday. And it's gotten people talking because the beta starts on Monday. To talk all about the beta and what is in store, I have with me Dan Bunting, co-studio head, and where's David? Hold on. Hold on. I'm getting word David is on his way. David's coming in. Wait, there he is. David is dropping in. David is dropping into the stream. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, there he is. It's always worth making a grand entrance.
Time.
This is not firing range. It's not even the party I was promised.
I told you we were dropping raid, not firing range. Come on.
I never pay attention to you anyway.
There we go. Gentlemen, welcome to the stream. Let's dive in and talk Blackout. Let's kind of start higher level and kind of talk game philosophy.
How high?
No, high enough.
Okay.
Just high enough.
2,000 feet. 2,000 feet.
Let's talk about game design philosophy. What really kind of drove the creation of Blackout?
Well, man, this is a good one. All right, so I'm gonna let you start because it was
right.
you brought this and said.
Well, yeah, okay. So I think that, we're game developers and gamers as well, and we all are passionate about games. We love playing games, we love making games, and last year, we all kind of, or a couple of years ago, when we started this project, we said that we wanted to build a game that had this sort of massive scale of social gameplay focus. So we're building games around social interactivity, around game experiences that you can have with your friends for a long time to come. We wanted to build a game that would be a live game that grows and changes over time based on our interactions with our fans. And those are some of our kind of really high-level overarching goals. As we started to build this game out, it took many forms. We are game developers.
And 2 games, if you want to really
True,
think
yeah.
back, to the large world that we tried to make the first time.
Yeah, I mean, going back even to Black Ops 3. In the beginning, we had started building out this concept of a larger open kind of online game, and so we started to build a lot of tools for that. And as this game started, we sort of evolved some of those ideas. We changed some of them around. We started to build as game makers. We like to iterate. We like to constantly change. We play We test, we take feedback from the team. We call it finding the fun. So you got to find the fun in the game and then follow the fun where it goes. So once you find the fun, you sort of takes that meandering course until you get to the final result that we see today. So I think that
it's a very long road.
Very long road. Over the last 2 years, it's been an evolution of some of the early ideas, and of course the concept of battle royale took the world by storm early last year as an evolution of even some community mods that had been built in lots of games, and I think that that's where we are today.
So
that was good.
Sorry, I forget to punctuate my sentences sometimes. I just kind of keep rambling.
Dan's
Go
a
ahead.
pro. Well, I mean, you talk about the process of like finding the fun, but whenever you take a look at what the studio has developed in the past, like going battle royale, going to Blackout is something new. So tell us a little bit about that development process. What was that road like for you? What was it like for the studio?
I had to assemble a team.
Since I hogged all the air, I'll let you I'll take that one.
I'm gonna go with the answer this long exactly. This was we had to put a team together to do it, and not just inside this building, also with our partners at Raven, who you can't make this size world without their help. That was the hard bit. Was this particular individual? It's a very large studio, so that particular group of people had not necessarily worked together yet, and there's new people involved. And that was probably the most important thing, at least in the earliest days, to get right. That's what I was thinking about a lot. How do you galvanize? But then this is Treyarch, so they self-galvanize pretty quickly as soon as you just put the carrot out there. So that the development process, we had to sort it out, right? There are things that you could run, and there are a lot of things that you would do when we make games that would work really well, and there are things that we would do historically that didn't work out so well, and like the map evolution itself, right? Where those are very, very controlled designs, both multiplayer and zombie maps, and almost everything we've made is very bespoke, for lack of a better word, very unique. And in Blackout, you had to kind of figure out how to zoom out and paint at a higher level, so that it's just like you just have these ingrained things from 10 plus years, of making Black Ops games. So while we draw on our heritage and we find and follow the fun from our history, you also could not necessarily use the same exact development and or design processes to get there.
I think another thing that's I think is really an interesting point to kind of just piggyback on what you're saying is that putting a team like this together merged people with a lot of different experiences and backgrounds that maybe haven't worked together in the past, and you saw people with a long history of multiplayer experience that combined with people with a long history of narrative campaign experience, and putting those people together kind of brings out
piece of cake.
Brings out kind of all new flavors, if you will, in the kind of game that you're making and the kind of game that comes out the other side of that.
Sure. All right, so the beta starts on Monday, exclusively on PS4. It opens up to Xbox One on 9/14, opened for all on PC 9/15, wraps on 9/17. Immediately following today's stream, we will have our own Blackout field guide up on Treyarch.com. But we wanted to
Black Ops, Blackout.
Well, no, Blackout field guide. Okay, it's
Just checking.
yeah, it's fine. So
It'll be fine.
let's kind of give a preview of that and what is to come on Monday.
Sure.
Let's kind of talk about Blackout. How do you play this game?
So the generalized game loop would go something like this. First, you start the game, and you're not actually playing yet. You're trying to get to what'll be 80 players right off the bat, and then we'll go from there. And once enough players are on, so you'll actually kind of wingsuit into the world just to kind of get your mind around things. You can run around. You can actually pick stuff up. You can actually interact with most objects in the world. You can practice effectively, kind of understanding the mechanics of that world. And then when you get close to 80 people, the game will start. You infill into this big world via a transport helicopter. So you'll wingsuit, and then when you get close to the ground, you'll actually parachute. There, you loot and scavenge, and you gear up as fast as you can as we collapse all the players together slowly. And then the last man or team or woman, last woman or man or team, you know what I mean, standing is the winner. That's the whoosh, fast version.
So if we were to break down that game loop, let's kind of move to pre-game a little bit.
Yeah.
What does that experience look like?
Yeah, we actually call it. We gave it a great name recently, based on some of the stuff that we were talking about. So,
Drop zone?
Yeah, no, the drop zone is a terrible name. So yeah, so you go into the deployment.
Years we've worked together. I try.
We go into the deployment area, and Dan, when you wings into the deployment area, what do you like to do?
I like to, actually, it depends on if I'm with a squad of people I know. If I'm with a squad of people I know, typically the first thing we're going to do is pop that map open and decide where we're going to drop,
Right.
where we're dropping.
Yeah, where are we dropping?
But I also like to mess around and just kind of practice things. So if I want to try out certain weapons, sniper rifles, for example, and figure out how do you master sniper rifles at different ranges in the game. It's a good place to do that. I've had some just kind of silly fun with people. I was playing catch with the combat axe with somebody.
Nice.
They were just trying to throw at each other, and then they catch it, throw it back. And
The other day it was Alex, Mr. Conserva. What's up, Alex? Myself, and it was Mr. Ben Brinkman. All three of us were together, and these are all folks who we work very closely with on this. We stole a helicopter to go find another helicopter, to go find another helicopter, and then we got Mr. Gordon. So then there was 4, and then we went helicopter racing. So
good
there's
fun.
like a whole thing that can go on before the game even starts. But realistically, the games fill up fast, and you're not going to have time for any of that shenanigans. That's
because
a
you're
very
not going to die in that early,
Yeah.
the
Right.
pre-match stage.
Yeah.
You're not going to
Yeah.
die, so you're going to run around. But all the weapons are available, all the vehicles are available. It's a great time to mess around, have fun, or try out all the different content that we have.
Well, so you guys just mentioned sort of like tinkering with some weapons and sniper rifles. You talked about vehicles. We reached out on Twitter for people that had some questions coming into today. CSN_D3FT is just making it simple. Will vehicles run out of fuel, and will they all have different amounts of armor or bullets to destroy a vehicle?
So the ATV, the cargo truck, the mini raft boat, trying to use the approved names, and then the helicopter.
What are they called,
What
David?
are they called? We've been calling them by their dev names for so long, and it's hard for me to not call them by what I know them as. They all have different health, so they all have strengths and weaknesses, but none of them, they have unlimited fuel, right? The map closes pretty fast enough where fuel as a resource in a map that size didn't really make sense. And there's not necessarily enough of them to justify the mechanic of fuel. I mean, there's like 80 vehicles, but like, it's just not, doesn't make sense in a world this size. Like,
It's also a good opportunity to talk about the way that these different,
accessibility.
the vehicles all move at different speeds.
Yeah.
The big truck is slow moving, and it's kind of this big behemoth that just crashes and wrecks stuff really slowly.
So many good circle fights with the cargo truck.
But I think people saw from the trailer, a lot of fans were asking,
Moving
Reddit, like, how does
platform.
it work? And
Yeah.
there's a moving platform. You're not in fixed positions. You can stand, crouch, prone. You can move around.
That's true of both the boat and the truck, and then the actual ATV and the helicopter. Both of those have fixed seating positions, but you have a really wide range of motion in both. You're not leaning out windows and such.
All right, so whenever you're trying to shoot your opponents, is Total Sickness 22, whose Twitter handle is immediately much easier to pronounce, is there going to be bullet drop on sniper rifles, or is it just going to be bullet leading?
Full ballistic simulation. So, you want to explain the differences and how we think about that?
Yeah, I mean it's complex math by an engineer who likes to do math.
Trevor Walker, such good stuff, man.
But it really takes into account the weight of the bullet, the caliber of the bullet, the length of the barrel,
Lead.
muzzle velocity.
It's speed, effectively. It's speed, and then how much it goes like this. And you really need to shoot the ones that shoot slower and lead more than you have. They don't drop. They drop, but they're not. Brutal.
Yeah, you'll see. I mean, just the ranges you expect. If you're looking at it from an SMG to a sniper rifle, SMGs are very low caliber. The bullets are going to drop really quickly. So it forces you to use those the way that they're designed to be used.
And the damage and the ranges of the guns and all this. I mean, ammo plays a big part in Blackout. You actually have to get the ammo. The ammo you have will determine which guns you're probably going to want to use. So ammo and the relationship to its speed, its ballistics, all that stuff it's modeled. I mean, it's still a video game, so it's not a full-on simulation by any means. We have to have fun.
Snipers are obviously higher caliber, so They're going to move a lot faster through space and straighter, but it's a little bit, I would say it's less about the bullet drop on those and more about the travel time. So you really, if you're trying to hit a moving target, you're going to have to lead them more, not necessarily aim up unless they're halfway across.
So there's a couple different things to help you out though, because being shot over long ranges can be brutal. So we still do the sort of the very multiplayer Call of Duty way of indicating which direction being shot from, and the weapons have a full tracer set, so you can actually watch and learn. With the tracers. The tracers was a big thing, thanks to Moffat and all the people who worked on that inside the building.
Siraj Manasfi wants to know, how long will a Blackout match take? 10 to 20, 30, 40? What's the general ETA?
It's 25, pretty much. If you go all the way to the end, it could be 25, 30 minutes tops, I think. It's pretty quick, relatively speaking. I mean, twice as long, 3 times as long as a multiplayer match, but then compared to playing through zombies levels, right? So it's all relative.
Of course, we have some ideas for how we might modify them in sort of events to kind of tweak the rule sets to make it play faster or slower.
In fact, I can't wait, because during the beta period, I think we're going to do a day specifically about trying to work with all the community people and go, okay, let's try it faster today. Let's try it slower. What does it feel like? Does it feel better? I'm happy with where we are. I think where we are is a great baseline to start from, but it is just the baseline to start from. It is not by any means where it has to end. So we'll play with that.
It's Call of Duty, so it's paced in a way that brings the spirit of a more slower, more tactical, more strategic kind of gameplay, but also keeps a little bit of that Call of Duty flavor in there in terms of the pace. A little faster.
It's a little faster.
If you guys could, from a development perspective, touch on some of the emergent gameplay scenarios that you've seen during development. Like, how does Blackout lend itself well to kind of the idea of an individual storytelling and their own unique experience?
So, I mean, people have already discovered to the point where we're actually already, we put it in the trailer with the cargo truck grabbing a supply drop. I mean, I didn't even know we could do that until the video.
That's wrong. Happened. You totally knew.
No,
you planned it.
I wish I could tell you that. I mean, sensor darts into RC cars. I mean, there's all sorts of weird combinations of things that would happen in a normal game, and you'd be like, "That's a bug, and we should fix that." And they happen in Blackout, and you're like, "Oh, that's awesome," right? So it took me a long time to kind of get in that mindset. Emergent storytelling, I think, is why we love playing Blackout, is because I get out of a game and I'm like, I can't wait to talk to somebody. I mean, Alex would just come to my office immediately and talk to me about it, like he does with everything. And then, no, wait, sorry, I got off the rails for a second. And then, sorry, Alex. And then, so my favorite though, my short favorite was I landed Nuketown Island solo hot, and I got scared, so I grabbed the helicopter and I bounced.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really know what was going on because I was only barely paying attention to where people were dropping or how many people were in the transport when I dropped. So I just stayed up in the sky until the cargo plane came through the map. And then I followed the cargo plane until it would drop the cargo, the supply drop, right? Like a care package, you guys know that. Land the helicopter, steal the stuff, get back up. Did it twice in a row, and then got down there and still died, of course.
Felt pretty good about yourself there for a while.
Bad luck,
clever, though.
Bad luck, Brian.
I think it's every game is a different story, and I just last night, one of the last matches I was playing, I kind of strayed from my squad, which you really probably shouldn't do in this mode.
Which you always do.
I was vacuuming up all of the loot, and then I got caught outside by a squad that was rolling in one of those cargo trucks with a sensor dart on it. So it was basically this mobile detection unit. They were acting like this mob, just rolling through the map and jumping out and taking people out as they went along. And I got surrounded. They literally, all three of them jumped out instantly and destroyed me right off the bat.
I mean, small stuff matters. Like, you're not thinking about maybe flashbangs and this kind of thing. And I mean, I've been wiped by somebody with the flashbang, and I wasn't set up to protect against that, and went out second. So it's like, just even the small things. Like, I think it's kind of breathed a lot of new life into a lot of the gameplay content because of the application of the world. I mean, having one life to live changes a lot of things. If you can constantly respawn. You might, not going to say you're careless, but you might not necessarily, you're not going to camp, you're not going to roll slow, right?
I might try.
In multiplayer, probably you would. But it just, even small things creates interesting emergence. I'm like, man, I can't remember the last time I got flashed and put down and lost the match because of it, right? So it's all over the spectrum, and so it'll take forever to figure out how to tune it.
There was, But I think the point of it is that it's a sandbox, and we're not designing the stories for people to create. We're giving them all the tools to create their own stories. There was another story I think that I love, just seeing the emergent kind of strategy that comes into play. My squad was rolling through as the circle was collapsing on us, and there was a helicopter flying overhead, and we're like, well, let's stay under the trees for cover. But the helicopter only had one pilot. So we're like, oh, either he's by himself or his squad somewhere else. And what he was doing was scouting. So he was flying around scouting targets for the rest of his crew to come in and mop up down on the ground level, which I thought was pretty clever.
Well, let's talk about sort of gameplay strategies, because I know that we can play as solos, duos, quads. I mean, it sounds like the more you can team up, the better your chances are going to be.
To each their own, right?
To each their own.
Look, I think squads will probably start as the featured playlist. The game's a team game. It's always been a team game. We make team games. But there's a lot of lone wolves, and lone wolves are going to have a great time in solo. And I've even had a great time and have had some great success being randomly matched with other players. So by default, fill team will be on. So when you're in duos or quads, the fill team button will be highlighted. That means if you go in there with one player in duos or obviously less than 4 in quads, the game will try to take someone in the game and put them in your party or with you. That doesn't always happen, of course, because if you're in quads, a lot of people are playing with 4 players. And of course, the whole solo duo quads, I mean, we can do triplets or 5s, and we'll try different things over the event weekend. But again, like I said, base foundational stuff is key to the beta and launch, so we really focus in on that stuff. And then, it's at that point, with some minor tweaks, it's like easy to try various combinations. I'd like to try 5-on-5. I want to try large scale. I mean, Blackout's evolving. I mean, I wish it was done, but it will never be done.
So once you fill team, you deploy.
Yeah, you hit the deploy button. It's called deploy. Then you deploy into the holding zone, staging area. But not whatever you called it.
DMZ.
Yeah.
All right, and so that's the full-on wingsuit parachute.
Yeah. After you deploy.
Yes.
Oh, we went back to the loop, and we're talking about. I don't know. We went over here for a while. I got lost.
You actually wingsuit into the staging area in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you get the first
just the last
experience of wingsuiting in, but it's just for fun. That area is trying to fill up the game.
Transport copter.
Transport helicopters come in.
Right, full-on convoy, I don't know, of things, and you're flying over, and then you decide where to drop, right? And then wingsuiting is a pretty simple experience. I mean, in general, we have it set up in Tune right now where you can kind of mostly point towards where you want to go. You cannot make it exactly across the whole map, but you can get pretty far. And then if you really want to get further, you actually dive. You take the wingsuit and you dive, point your head towards the earth and get the maximum amount of meters per second that you can. Then you pull out of that, and then because you're wingsuiting, you're a wing. If you're a wing, then you can fly. So that's how you would, pro players, go ahead and practice the dive, momentum, speed, flat leveling, and then you're going to soar. But if you're just sort of getting familiar with these games, pick something you can see within maybe 2 or 3 blocks of where your helicopter is going over, and then just point towards it. You'll make it. It's not we deploy pretty fast, right? It's again Call of Duty and a wingsuit.
There's a meter to the right on your HUD that has arrows that show how fast you're dropping down.
Yeah.
So if you get to top speed going down, it'll show 3 arrows. It'll go from 1, 2, and 3. That's the point where you can pull up and flat, and you'll just get a lot more distance that way because you're at top speed. You can actually go up as well since it's a wingsuit. So you can, if you're going top speed, you can
effectively
pull
air
up,
braking
and it's like an
stall.
air brake. So let's say you're just almost to the destination, but you're going to land on the ground. You'd rather hit the roof because there's other parachuters down below you. You can pull up and land on the roof.
So that's
there's a lot of cool.
Yeah, the parachute will deploy. You'll actually see where you are on the meter he's talking about on your HUD, relevant to where the parachute will deploy. And you can't control the parachute. The parachute is simply to keep you from pancaking into the earth. Once you're deployed officially, the parachute gets cut away, but you still have your wingsuit. And then you can reuse your wingsuit for what we call base jumping. So if, say, you're on the top of Dam, you saw that in the video, and some other tall places. If you press and hold the jump button when you're sprinting, you run, jump, sprint, and then the wingsuit will come back out, and you kind of do this one awesome wingsuit move and then land. And you can actually do that out of the helicopter, if you just jump off the edge of a helicopter. So that's the basics of infiltration, wingsuiting with the parachute slowdown, and then the base jumping mechanics.
Got it. Let's talk items a little bit here. Sir Jimmy asks if there are different tiers of equipment such as backpacks and armor.
So there's a storage slot, and in the storage slot you actually have the only storage item we have today is the backpack. The backpack will take your inventory system and expand it from 5 slots to 10 slots. And then Chris and Gavin and I have a whole host of ideas about other types of storage slots, like for the future, like for example, double up how much health you can stack, things of that nature, which I'm sure we'll get to, maybe even some of those before we ship the game. But in the beta, backpack, 5 more inventory slots, and then armor. Armor is a different slot. Armor is a dedicated slot. There are 3 types of armor, level 3 armor being the best armor, and offers headshot protection. Headshot protection. I got it.
The only one with a helmet.
Yeah.
All right. Kind of coming down the home stretch here. Let's talk about the map. I mean, we've talked a lot about how it's the largest.
1,500 nuke towns.
Nailed it. Biggest.
Are we tired of that yet?
Nope.
No.
I got a little more mileage out of that one yet.
Right. I think it's 2,500 nuke towns now, right?
So it's like there's some classic, there's some new, there's some zombies.
Oh, gosh.
What's in store?
All right, Dan. Which one of those you want to take?
Are we talking about weapons?
No, we were talking
map.
no,
Map. Okay.
Jeez, I thought I was the one who was asleep.
Most of the community has figured out, based on piecing together the map itself that's been released, and all the screenshots that have been released, plus the trailer and the footage from that. They've kind of figured out where everything is and what all the maps are that are going to be in the game. I'm trying to think. There is one MP map that I think people will love from Black Ops 3 that they haven't figured out yet.
Yeah, it's unnamed.
I'm trying to decide if I should say it or not.
It's unnamed.
But I will say that it's right smack in the middle of the map, and it's not firing range because it's next to firing range.
So when we talk about the maps, we usually talk about them in terms of sort of 3 ways. We have sort of the new stuff, right? This is stuff that we've never had before. That's construction site and fracking tower, right? Those 2 are good ones to represent new. When we talk about the maps, let's talk about the things that are inspired for multiplayer, so sort of classic kinds of things, like Estates. Estates is quite literally Raid and Stronghold, but then all the stuff around it. And we say classic, but expand it because it's not just firing range and it's not just Stronghold, because you could not get on the roofs of those maps. You could not go to the sides. There's entirely new rooms that you've never been in. And so that stuff is what makes it fun. It's like you pay homage to this really popular map from our legacy, but then you're like, oh, I'm not constrained by the game design rules of MP in the same way. In fact, I can't be, because I have to actually let you leave this place. So what does that even mean? Like, you don't really design the outside of Raid, other than, I mean, there's art and stuff, but you're not gameplay space. There's no gameplay space. Sure. So that's a classic. And then the zombie stuff, some of it's inspired, right? The lighthouse, which is in the bottom corner of that map, which I tweeted about. There's also Asylum itself, and then there's the boxing ring, and then there's the diner. There's different components of zombies places, and zombies spawn in zombie destinations, and only zombie destinations, because that's how zombies works. Just so you know, this is important information. Zombies spawn in zombie destinations. Shocking.
So we'll give 2 hints for the community to chew on for the weekend. The one multiplayer map they haven't figured out yet.
See what you did there.
The one multiplayer map they haven't figured out, which I will say is just focus on the Rivertown area and see if you can figure out what that one is. And then Nuketown is almost not even about Nuketown.
Yeah, Zombies Nuketown,
There's more that might be below the
CI.
surface of that.
I think
experience around Nuketown.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, I think you can find that stuff on the internet.
I haven't seen a lot of it.
No?
There's a lot of stuff on the internet. All right, including the last 2 questions that we've got from fans. X Strains wants to know, will there be classic or legacy weapons from World at War, Black Ops 1, 2, or in the beta, or in the full game?
Yeah. There's a classic World at War weapon.
One in particular.
Yeah.
One gun in particular.
I'm pretty sure that I'm getting trolled.
You're someone attached to?
Yeah. Should we give
something that you're known for? Vaughn became nerd famous one time on World of War based on a gun that he designed.
We can just leave it at that. K3 wants to know, how does progression work? Leveling up, prestiging, leaderboards, etc. Do stats from beta carry over to the full game at launch?
Take those in reverse order if you don't mind. So just to get it out of the way, stats won't carry from the beta to the full game. And the reason why is we use the beta data, which is the stats, to make sure that we have the game tuned really well. So the game is developer tuning, and the real world and the developer world are never quite the same. So if you're only playtesting with the people you work with, the data, it's reflective of playtesting, but it's not reflective of, the hopefully billions of people who would like to play Blackout with us. Now, on to actually progression. Here's the macro level view of this thing. It's pretty simple, right? In Battle Royale-inspired game modes like Blackout, the only way to progress these kinds of things is to eliminate other players from the game, aka kills, and actually place or get first place. So these are the two. It's kind of thing about Blackout. It's like it's really pretty pure, right? Doesn't really. I mean, a lot of stuff happens, but at the end, it's about being the last person or team standing. So if you do well, top 10, 15, 20. I think it's top 15 right now. And then placement, how well you do in the totality of the match, and then how many kills that you get, which means that you're contributing to the process of eliminating everybody. That's what you progress with, and it is a hard, long climb, right? It's but you'll see your progress the whole way. It doesn't have the scoring system of multiplayer. So if you're a multiplayer guy, you're used to all the, ping pong, pinball, ping pong. I need to go home and sleep. Ping pong.
Ping ball.
Yeah, whatever. Leave me alone.
What about how you get characters?
Getting characters is the best part. So this system is really crazy cool.
Okay.
So every character, there are 5 characters that you'll actually unlock by progressing, by winning, by eliminating other players. But beyond that, there's actually what we call the mission unlocks, right? I sometimes call them a quest on accident. I'm surely going to do it again. So in order to start to unlock a character, you actually have to find that character's like major unlock item, whatever that is. So here's an example. If you find the War Machine belongs to Battery. So you take the War Machine, and then you have to go out and eliminate players with the War Machine, so doing very Battery-like things. Just the simplest example. And then you take that, complete those sort of in-game quest objectives of eliminating players with the War Machine, and then survive long enough into the game, then you'll unlock Battery. So what's fascinating about this is you have to have that item. So like anything else in the world, it's like a weapon or an attachment. You have to have it. So if you die, you drop that. You drop that, someone else can get that and your War Machine and go out. So that's the example that we commonly use because it's simple. Others are much more involved in that, right? The zombie characters. Like if you want Richtophon,
Well, some of them aren't even weapons. Some of them are just things that are going to take up an inventory slot.
That's right. Yeah,
so you're sacrificing the inventory slot just to get the character.
Yeah, because we don't put all the specialist content in there, but specialist gameplay content is in Blackout, and it's accessible to all players, not just some players. So you don't have to be Battery in Blackout to use a War Machine. You can be me, or you, or maybe even him.
Probably not me. What about the rarity, though? It's not like you're going to find War Machines all over the map.
No,
you got to get that through
Yeah,
certain means.
supply drops and supply stashes. So we have a stash. So again, if I call it a treasure chest, then you can blame me for saying it's a quest. But the supply stashes are effectively one way to find them, also from the care package. Now, this is a fun thing about Blackout. Because everything is not loadable, like you cannot equip and load out before you go into the game like multiplayer, and you have to find everything in the world, then the rarity of things is completely within our control, right? And not everything has to be of equal power band because I can control how often and rare that it is, right? So what we'll do is we'll light this up. We'll light this up and we'll say, hey, we're going to let you find a little more War Machines or a little less War Machines or no War Machines, or there's one War Machine per match, good luck, right? So this is why the beta data is so important, to come back to the original question, because I need to kind of understand how often these things are coming up in the real world, and then we can use that to inform when we unleash and put unlock availability into the world in the first place, so you can go do the missions.
And to those who are worried about the War Machine and gameplay balance, the world is littered with trophy systems, and I will say that when you first see a trophy system in this game mode like this, you're like, well, that's really situational. I don't see the value of that. I'm not going to take up my inventory slot. But they are super powerful in the end game, especially in the last circle.
Super powerful. People rain grenades on the finals.
So get your trophy system, hold on to it. That's what I would recommend till the end of the match.
Perhaps just sort of down the home stretch here, just sort of wrapping up, talk to us a little bit about what support looks like through the beta and Blackout post-launch.
Yeah.
What's the intention here?
Oh man, so there's a whole procedure, process, flow set up. The guys took me through it last night, and we're going to be super busy. So in fact, you personally will probably be very actively involved in said procedure or process.
Might have to write a few words.
Yeah.
I expected nothing less.
It's all hands on deck, right? The beta's like coming to, we'll be grinding out those days. I suspect we'll probably roll updates every morning, depending on how things go. And then we'll communicate with you, just like we did on the multiplayer beta, which was a good practice run, I think, for everybody on getting everybody warmed up on how to do that. And the live ops team here at Treyarch, they're ready to go. And the design team will be right there, and we'll be ready to go. And what we do and what order we do it in, we're going to work to communicate as transparently as they let us. Well,
I mean, I think people already saw from the multiplayer beta that we are as open as we can possibly be. We're trying to make sure that this is a dialogue with the community. That we're not going to be able to respond to every single piece of feedback because there's literally thousands, maybe tens of thousands.
Yeah, tens of thousands.
But you look for the themes that bubble up, which I think our community has figured out that if they talk enough about something, then that's something we'll respond to. So you look at what the hot topics are in the community, and you pair that with the data that we're watching on the back end to kind of understand how much of this is emotion and how much of it is gameplay balance and what are the changes that we need to make. And sometimes players have the right idea for how to fix things. Sometimes they might just be skipping past the problem and going to a solution, but we have to dissect that, reverse engineer the problem, get back to that problem and figure out what's the right solution. So it's a process.
It's a beta, and I know right now, we all know that there's certain things that are in the beta that we can work on still and will work on still, and not everything that's in the game that will be in the beta. Is everything that we could, for sure. But more to come. There's still iteration. So you do things in passes, for lack of a better term. You get the after-action report or the combat record. You get it so far, and then you have to go back to it. So it's tough for me. It's very tough for me to play the game, and because all I see are all the things that we still need to do. But it's a super fun game. Everyone has fun playing it, and let's go. Why can't we? Let's do this.
But the beta is just also a dry run for us to, as the game launches, this is the process of how this game is going to go. We're going to listen to the fans. We're going to take all the problems, fix them. We're going to introduce new solutions. We're going to introduce new content. We're going to grow it. Vaughn said in the Game Informer interview, which I love this quote, which is that launch is halftime. Launch is
really
the.
is.
Here comes the football
halftime.
analogies. Welcome to NFL football season.
Good time
everybody.
for the
Let's
football
go.
analogies.
It's a race to the starting line.
Yes, this is a break. Oh my God.
All right, beta starts Monday, first on PS4. Closing thoughts for people who are jumping in on Monday.
Listen, let's go. Like we got work to do. We're standing by. This is a game mode made for our fans. I mean, so many people asked. And it's something different for us. And we still have a lot to learn. And we can't wait to work with you to figure out what that looks like. And I'm the dungeon master, just so you know.
Have fun. That's it. Have fun. Make lots of videos. We love watching the videos.
Yeah,
All
videos
right.
are helpful.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, our friends at Activision are going to be rolling the hashtag COD Top Plays again. So make sure to submit those. We'll be keeping an eye out for them. And then on that note, thank you for tuning in. We will see you online on Monday on PS4 for the start of the Blackout beta. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.